Part 1. The Queen of Hoa versus the Rancher. Bo Harris had always sworn the best part of waking up wasn't the coffee, it was drinking it on his front porch, overlooking the slow, golden rise of sun over the Willow Bend Ranch. With his battered mug reading "World's Okayest Rancher" in one hand, he exhaled in peace until a scream ripped the morning in half. Oh my God, he's turned this place into a farmer's apocalypse. Bo nearly dumped the scalding coffee all over his jeans. His head whipped toward the sound. There she was, screeching into her phone at the edge of his property, hair like a windblown haystack, leopard print pajamas clinging to her in all the wrong ways. Denise Whitmore. His neighbor. His nemesis. And the self-appointed tyrant of the Willow Bend Homeowners Association. She's already starting, Bo muttered to himself, sipping what remained of his coffee and walking toward the gate. Denise was pacing like a lawyer in front of a jury. He's got at least 50,000 cows, goats, pigs, God knows what else, stomping through this place like it's some kind of barnyard Woodstock. Bo looked back at his pasture. 12 cows. 4 goats. 2 dogs napping near the fence. The wildest thing in sight was a goat licking its own shoulder. "Ma'am," he called politely, "you might be exaggerating just a smidge." Denise spun on her heel like she was starring in a courtroom drama. There he is, the ringleader of this ungodly zoo. Bo chuckled softly. But minutes later, his chuckle turned into a groan as 2 sheriff's cruisers came barreling down the dirt road with lights flashing. Sheriff Wyatt Langford, a man who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, stepped out. Denise ran toward him like she was reporting a murder. "Arrest him," she screamed, pointing at Bo. "He's in gross violation of our HOA laws, more than 5 animals per household. He's got an ark over there." The sheriff squinted at the field. "You mean, them?" he asked, pointing toward the sleepy herd. Denise's voice dropped to a theatrical whisper. "He's hiding more. Probably underground." Bo walked up slowly, mug in hand. "Morning, Wyatt." "Bo," the sheriff replied, suppressing a smirk. "I take it you didn't unleash a stampede this morning?" "I tried," Bo deadpanned. "But the cows are union. Only riot afternoon." The deputies laughed. "Denise, not so much. He's a menace," she barked. "Why won't you arrest him?" Sheriff Langford scratched his chin, then looked Bo straight in the eye. "You want to tell her, or should I?" Bo sighed, reached into his coat, and pulled out a badge. State Livestock Commissioner. Denise's mouth fell open like someone had unplugged her. "Why, you're a what?" "That's right," Bo said. "I'm the guy who writes the guidelines your HOA tried to misquote." The deputies burst into open laughter. Denise looked like she had swallowed a barn nail. Her cheeks flushed as red as the roses she used to win HOA gardening contests. "You should have told me," she mumbled. "And ruined my morning?" Bo replied, sipping his coffee. "Watching you yell about an invisible cow army was better than Netflix." Sheriff Langford clapped Bo on the shoulder. "Good luck today." As the cruisers pulled off, Bo returned to his porch, but something in Denise's eyes gave him pause. It wasn't over. Not even close. She wasn't humiliated. She was plotting. Part 2. Fences, footage, and a bull in the garage. 2 days after the HOA gay fiasco, whispers spread through the Willow Bend subdivision like wildfire. Everyone had seen it. Denise Whitmore, the queen of bylaws, reduced to a punchline with her rant about a fictional livestock invasion. Group chats buzzed, Ring doorbell footage circulated, and memes exploded. Bo Harris became a legend overnight. But if Bo knew anything about Denise, it was that she didn't lose gracefully. So when he strolled into the monthly HOA meeting, he knew something was up. The energy in the room was off. People weren't talking paint swatches or mailbox uniformity. They were murmuring about him. And at the front, standing tall in a cream-colored pantsuit like she was launching a political campaign, stood Denise, clutching a massive binder with the confidence of a woman who believed she had found her nuke. When she saw Bo enter, she offered a smile so sharp it could cut wire. "Good evening," she said. "Before we begin the usual business, I'd like to address a matter of urgent community concern." She opened the binder and pulled out a stack of color-printed pamphlets. On the cover, a cartoon cow stomping through a suburban garden. Beneath it, the headline, "Are we one fence away from a stampede?" Bo nearly choked. Denise launched into a speech that could have won an Oscar, complete with trembling voice and heartfelt appeals about the safety of children, biohazards from unregulated feed, and a slideshow of Google images showing cows in places they clearly didn't belong. She proposed a new HOA bylaw. No household may keep more than 5 animals total, regardless of property size. The rule was clearly aimed at one man in that room. "Ms. Whitmore," Bo said, standing up, State law protects agricultural activity, and as livestock commissioner, I can assure you. I don't care if you're the secretary of Moo, she snapped. You're in violation of our peace. Laughter rippled. Bo wasn't the only one who found her line absurd, but Denise wasn't here for humor. She was playing the long game. The vote was delayed. The meeting dissolved into chaos. But for Bo, the real trouble began after sunset. Within days, strange things started happening at his ranch. A gate mysteriously unlocked. Fencing found sagging without explanation. Tools missing from the shed only to reappear in odd places on the roof or buried in the hay. At first, he brushed it off. Pranks. Coincidence. But then, one morning before dawn, his dogs went berserk. Bo ran outside, flashlight in hand, only to find several goats wandering loose near the road, just feet from oncoming traffic. A neighbor helped herd them back, giving Bo a look that said, I believe you, but I don't want to get involved. That's when Bo installed cameras, hidden ones, across his property. And just 3 nights later, he got his proof. The footage was crystal clear. Denise, in yoga pants and a windbreaker, at 2:43 a.m., climbing over his back fence with bolt cutters in one hand and a flashlight in the other. She opened the goat pen, left the gate ajar, then vanished into the shadows. Bo watched the footage twice, stunned not by what she did, but by how calm she looked while doing it. Methodical. Planned. He didn't want revenge. He didn't even want to involve the sheriff yet. First, he'd give her a chance to back off. The next afternoon, he walked to her door, USB in hand. Denise answered, face tight. Well, this is unexpected. I bet it is, Bo said calmly. Got something for you. She took the USB, frowning. I'm giving you one shot to walk away from this, Bo continued. You don't like my cows? Fine. But cut my fences, sabotage my ranch? That's criminal. Her jaw tightened. Is that a threat? No. That's grace. She slammed the door in his face. That was the moment Bo realized. She's not just angry. She's unhinged. And that night, the storm hit. At 12:03 a.m., Bo's phone buzzed. His GPS alert had triggered. One of his animals was moving fast. Tank, his prized Hereford bull, was on the move. Bo bolted out of bed, grabbed his boots, keys, and flashlight, and jumped into the ATV. The tracker pinged near the edge of his property, the side closest to Denise's house. When he reached the gate, the chain was cut. Fresh tire tracks led straight toward her yard. Bo followed the signal. It stopped behind her garage. He crept toward the side window and peeked inside. There, standing confused among folding chairs, a treadmill, and a kiddie pool full of lettuce, was Tank, 2,000 pounds of bewildered bovine. And Denise? On her phone, pacing and whispering frantically. I have him. I have the cow. Or bull. Whatever. He's huge. I didn't think it through. Bo covered his mouth to keep from laughing. She looked like a burglar trapped in a barn-themed escape room. I tried to push him toward the door, she whispered, but he's just standing there. He's staring at me. She jabbed a broom toward Tank, who blinked once, licked his lips, and knocked over a ping-pong table with his flank. Bo had seen enough. He knocked. Denise screamed like someone had set her hair on fire. Bo opened the door slowly, arms crossed. You need help with your new roommate? Tank ambled toward him, mooed softly, and walked out like a celebrity leaving a bad party. Bo turned back to Denise. You broke in, cut my fence, lured a bull into your garage. I was conducting an inspection, she stammered. That's not an inspection. That's felony livestock theft. Before she could argue, sirens lit up the street. Someone, maybe a neighbor, had called it in. Sheriff Langford arrived, eyes wide. You've got to be kidding me, he muttered, staring at Tank now munching on Denise's lawn. Bo handed over the footage, the GPS data, and pointed at the cut chain. Denise didn't even try to deny it. She just stood there. Wild hair, hay in her slippers, reputation slipping through her fingers like feed through a sifter. The sheriff didn't arrest her, not yet. But she was placed in the cruiser for questioning. As Bo walked Tank back under the moonlight, he muttered, You're gonna need a good lawyer, buddy. But deep down, he knew. This was no longer a feud. This was war. Part 3. The rodeo ends where it began. By sunrise, the whole neighborhood knew. Bull in the garage, screamed the morning group chat headlines. Ring cameras had caught everything. Denise pacing in her driveway in her slippers, Tank mooing like a blues singer, and Sheriff Langford muttering, I should have called in sick. By noon, local news ran the story under the title, Suburban HOA feud escalates as woman kidnaps prize bull. Bo watched the footage at the feed store while sipping free coffee handed to him by a grinning cashier. Tank, now famous, had his own meme circulating movie E over Karen featuring the bull inside the garage with Denise mid-screen. While half the county laughed, the other half wasn't sure who to believe. Denise had spent years crafting her image, the community's unofficial mayor, organizer of potlucks, enforcer of lawn perfection. Now she was the woman who kidnapped a bull with a salad trap. But Denise didn't retreat. She doubled down. She wrote a 2,000-word Facebook post titled, "Why I Did What I Did," a statement on community safety. In it, she painted herself as a whistleblower, accused Bo of abusing his position, and suggested Tank had charged her. Worse, she filed a formal complaint to the county board, citing environmental hazards, unauthorized feed storage, and biohazardous waste runoff. Every claim was dismissed quickly. So she went nuclear. She filed a civil lawsuit against Bo for public humiliation and emotional distress, citing the viral videos, the community ridicule, and what she called deliberate psychological sabotage. Bo's lawyer, a no-nonsense woman named Donna Rowe, skimmed through the documents and smirked. "She's suing you for the consequences of her own madness," she said. "It won't hold, but it will make noise." Noise, indeed. HOA meetings turned into Cold War standoffs. Residents began splitting into factions. Team Bo and the Safety Committee, Denise's new self-declared movement. Petty politics exploded. Cookie tables were sabotaged. Yard signs disappeared mysteriously. Someone anonymously mailed Bo a fake, livestock eviction notice made from magazine clippings. And yet, through all of it, the town rallied around Bo. He'd spent years plowing snow without being asked, helping repair fences after storms, dropping off fresh eggs to elderly neighbors. The people remembered. A local 4-H club hosted its Stand with the Rancher barbecue fundraiser. Farmers drove their tractors into town honking horns, waving signs like, "Legal hooves matter. Keep calm and graze on. Cows over Karens." One even brought a goat in a baby stroller. And in the middle of it all, someone printed Tank's face on t-shirts. Denise, watching from her window, began to unravel. Her lawsuit, once a weapon, was now an anchor. Her supporters dwindled. Even her most loyal ally, the HOA treasurer, quietly unfriended her on Facebook. And then came the final blow. The mayor, mild, neutral, and generally allergic to controversy, released a statement. "Agriculture is not only legal in our county, it is part of our identity. Commissioner Bo Harris has done nothing wrong." Denise had lost, but she wouldn't admit it. She clung to her lawsuit like it was a life preserver. Bo, meanwhile, stayed mostly quiet, except one brief press conference where he said, "I'm just trying to raise animals, not fight battles. But if this is the rodeo she wanted, well, I brought my boots." Behind the scenes, his lawyer prepared a counter-lawsuit for defamation and property damage. Bo wasn't sure if he wanted to pursue it. The ranch life wasn't about grudges, it was about hard work and peace. But then he'd look at the footage of Tank in that garage, Denise with a broom, the cut fences, and he'd reconsider. But then something shifted. It started with a conversation. From his niece, Maddie. "Uncle Bo," she said, spooning cereal at his kitchen table, "you should invite her here. Make her face it. Like a real ranch tour. I bet she wouldn't last 5 minutes." Bo laughed. But the idea stuck. So he printed a formal letter and slid it into her mailbox. "Dear Ms. Whitmore, you are formally invited to tour Willow Bend Ranch. Come see what you've been fighting against. You might just find we have more in common than you think. No bulls in garages this time, I promise. Bo Harris, State Livestock Commissioner." To his shock, she accepted. She showed up wearing designer boots that had never touched dirt and a wide sun hat that screamed country club, not country life. He greeted her in jeans, flannel, and boots that had stepped in things no hat could cover. The tour began in silence. He showed her the barns, the feed rotation, the fencing repairs she herself had once sabotaged. The goats promptly tried to eat her scarf. The pigs grunted at her perfume. A rooster chased her down the path. She flailed, screeched, hid behind Bo at one point. Bo didn't laugh. Not out loud, anyway. By the end, her hair was a mess. Her boots were muddy, and her hat had vanished somewhere behind the chicken coop. He handed her water and sat under the pecan tree. "You know," he said gently, "I didn't move out here to fight. I just wanted to raise animals. Be left alone. You made me look like a fool," she whispered, wiping dust from her face. "You did that on your own," Bo replied softly. She stared across the pasture. I thought you were exploiting the system. I was following the law. Silence. Then quietly. The lawsuit was a mistake. Bo nodded. Figured you'd get there eventually. I'll drop it, she said. I never wanted to win. Just wanted to coexist. They walked back to the gate. Not as friends, but maybe something less volatile than enemies. Before she left, she hesitated. About Tank. I really thought I was doing the right thing. Bo grinned. You locked a 2,000-pound bull in your garage. I'm turning that into a children's book. She rolled her eyes, but smiled. 3 weeks later, the HOA hosted its annual community fair. To Bo's surprise, he was invited as guest of honor. He arrived with a few goats, some produce, and Tank wearing a ribbon. But what stopped him in his tracks? A banner, Ranch Day Celebration. Under it stood Denise Whitmore, wearing a badge that read, Honorary Livestock Liaison. She was holding a feed bucket and awkwardly smiling at a group of kids petting a sheep. Bo walked over, arms crossed. You got promoted? She didn't look up. Don't push it. He reached into a bag and handed her a framed photo of Tank standing in her garage. For your office, he said. She laughed, shaking her head. You're never gonna let that go, are you? Never, Bo said. Then added, but welcome to the ranch. And just like that, the rodeo was over.